And when you can bring your authentic self,
clear in what you want, do everything that moves you in that direction.
Building a business and a life worth owning and having.
It's just about being you.
Hey everybody, Craig Lerch here again. Empowering experiences, disrupting real estate, and having fun.
Hey everybody, welcome to Disrupting Real Estate. This session today is going to be on fire. I'm with a longtime friend, also nicknamed my Babble Buddy, Buddy West, coming to us from Wilmington, Delaware, with Emery Real Estate. And he's nationally known for his book writing, his radio shows he's been on. He wrote the book targeting over 55 clients. And the best part today is we're going to talk about is the designation he started, which is MILRES, which helps agents learn how to work with the military in a process to make it consistent. It's in 47 states now, and they've helped hundreds and hundreds of thousands of agents of help military clients around the country now. So that's an important thing because, again, our vets help give us what we have here in the country today, which is our freedom. So, hey, bud, welcome. We're going to have some fun here. Welcome and coming from Delaware, the small state of Delaware, right?
But mighty.
But mighty. There you go. What is it? The Blue Hens?
The Blue Hens.
And the stone. Oh,
Blue
what is it? See?
Blue Rocks.
Oh, the Blue Rocks. There you go. There you go. Wilmington, Delaware, some great little restaurants. I think you guys all want to be Philadelphians because you always keep coming up our way. So
yeah, right. I started there. Remember?
That's right. You did. You did. That's right. In a diner. Tell me a little bit. So you started in a diner with your dad as a kid, but then you got into real estate somehow. How did that all come about?
Well, I had a diner and a restaurant down here in Delaware as well. That was when I was like 19 or 20. So I kept that and had a bar and went on. And, the business is up and down when it comes to that. And I decided that I wanted to get in real estate because it would open up a lot of possibilities, not just selling houses, but the training. I had a CBS radio show called Real Estate Talk on for 10 years, that kind of stuff. And obviously you've gone around the country with me speaking. So we provide a lot of services that are outside of working with buyers and sellers.
You are like the tutorial of one of my friends. You're always teaching, which is great. You're always living with your heart and a string up. You're the academician. I'll call you.
I've been called worse.
There you go. You were with Patterson and Schwartz for many years, and then you decided to. How was that?
23 years.
There you go. And then you partnered up and started Emery Hill Residential Real Estate, which is really a big commercial company down in Delaware.
Huge commercial, number one in the state as far as commercial, retail, industrial, and they were just missing residential. So I slipped in to get their referrals.
Okay, great. So I remember going back, I think it was back in 2010, right after the crash of everything or during that crash, you came up with this godchild of saying, you know what? I want to do something more for vets, because I remember you were friends with one of the gentlemen, because you have Dover Airforce Base there,
right?
And who was the commander or the gentleman?
You remember my friend Terry Trivets. She's one of my best friends.
That's it.
Yeah, and her father was General Trivets, and he knew what I had done for the seniors when I wrote the SRES course, Senior Real Estate Specialist, and I did that with the book. And he said, "What are you doing with the military?" And I said, "I'm not really doing anything with the military. Why?" And he said, "Well, you should, because you did it for the seniors." And I said, "But, you just call him General T." And I said, "I never served. I came out in 1970, that awkward time when Vietnam and Cambodia, they were done. So they weren't even doing a draft. They were trying to, so I went to college." And he said, "Well, it's time to start serving." And that put a fire under my butt. So I started on a quest. I met our friend Sammy and Morgan out in California, Travis Air Force Base. We worked our way down California. She said goodbye, went back to San Mateo, and I went across to Nevada, Texas, Alabama, into different bases. When I went to one base, they sent me to another one to ask the military what they needed from realtors and what they were or were not getting. And it was ugly. They hollered at me. Everybody said, "You guys aren't doing crap for us. You don't even care about us." And as I got back, I stopped My last stop was Dover after Washington. I went to the Veterans Administration because I wanted to do it right. I didn't want to write the course. I wanted the course to be written by the military. And that's what sets it off. We're the oldest course to work with the military that's out there. So no one had, NAR did not have one. They tried to buy mine and I refused to sell it. So they came up with their own version, but they hired a course writer. So I don't get it. They're not getting it from the horse's mouth. So this is why we want to keep authentic. This is why I don't want every realtor to have my designation. I want only the ones that want to really help veterans, active duty, and their families.
How many agents have that designation in the country?
We're just over like 5,300 right now.
Wow.
And yeah, so it's not bad. We're in 40. You said 47 in the beginning. We're actually in 49. I got to get somebody from North Dakota on this ticket. So,
right. Anybody's listening, North Dakota. We need somebody in North Dakota. We need to get to the 50 states. Come on.
Yeah, we'll get the 50 states in, and then we've got. But the referral network, we're the only, basically the only certification that sends referrals out. It sent 109 referrals out last year, and
Wow.
that's like some of them. A lot of people think, yeah, but they're VA. They're hard to deal with. They're only $100 and some $1,000. One of them was for $900,000. And they're just as easy to deal with as anything else now. They've changed everything up. So it's worked out really well for the military, and they've made changes. Now, the difference between me owning it and running it is like I'm like a rowboat in a in a river. If I want to make a change, I just turn, right? Now, the NAR is like that same river with a tanker. They can't make a change. They have to wait until twice a year and figure out what they're going to do to change it. Meanwhile, I'm skidding ahead and giving the new things. 2 new things came on board last year, which help. And most realtors that I ask, they don't even know what they are. The one is there's no limit on VA anymore.
Really? I didn't know that. I thought there was one of them.
You thought it was like 460?
Yeah.
You can get $1 million house if you can qualify for $1 million house.
And how many unit? It can go up to a 4 unit. Is that right?
That's right.
Or is it same as a residential? It'll go up to 4 units if you wanted to.
But you have to live in one of them.
You have to live in one of them for a while or the whole time.
Well, it's you know how they do that with FHA and everything. It's written strictly for as long as you own it. But there are other nuances you don't know about it. The other thing is that I guess it was I don't know if it was Biden or it was Biden doing away with student loans for those that are in hot zones. We have not seen the final on that yet, but apparently, if you've served and you were over in Iraq or Afghanistan or God knows where now, you have no student debt. Now, what does that do? It gives you more purchasing power.
Yeah. Because you can actually, what is it, 105%? Now, this is a key point, everybody. If you have family or military, use this. It is not disgruntled against anything like that. We actually had an opportunity this past weekend, a couple weekends ago, to have brunch with Alan Dom and Alexis Bowen, of which both will be coming on to our show in the future. But one of the conversations is how we utilizing in this world FHA and VA. Well, VA, we were discussing that in the future there's great value, especially with these low interest rates and being able to finance 100%. They're assumable mortgages. You can transfer.
There's your key. It's an assumable mortgage.
It still needs they still have to have credit worthiness. And do they need to be military?
Well, here's a rub on that. Everything you do about military is your entitlement. What is your entitlement? So you're given entitlement based on what you served. If you serve full-time, et cetera, you're right. So you got an entitlement package. So if let's just say, for instance, you have 150,000. So if you let another military person assume that, right? Now you have a situation where they're taking part of your entitlement. Okay. So now the only way you get it back, well, you still get it back because they're going on theirs. But if you sell to somebody that's not a military person, you can still let them assume it, but you lose that entitlement. You don't get it back, and not until they refi, until the house sells. They're trying to change that because it's like it's a nuance. It's hurting people, so it will change. So just make sure. That's why it's important for realtors to understand how the Veterans Administration works. They're trying to do everything they can to help our heroes. But the point is that you have to be able to reach in your toolbox and pull it out. And if you don't, then you're violating Article 12 by not having a requisite knowledge to be able to work with VA. So you should have to refer them out. There's another thing, Craig. There's something. It's an energy efficient grant. You can get up to $8,000, $10,000 on top of what your entitlement is if you go in and say, well, I'm going to put a new roof on it, I'm going to do energy efficient, new heater and all. That's another benefit no one knows about. The energy efficiency.
I mean, it's a perfect example. I mean, you could, especially in the military towns, you could stand out if you can get this designation, and we can talk about, how people can get that as we go on. But when we're all saying there's not enough business, but if you become the master of what's available, you have your conventional, you have your FHA, you have your VA, become the expert. I mean, if there's nobody else who's really the expert in the VA in your area and supporting the veterans, this is huge. But the first tool is the designation. I've always believed in them. I had my GRI, my CRSs, all that stuff. Yeah, and I know we've all talked about the MOUSC. There's all the names behind it. But behind the designation is it puts you in the referral group, which is where your group is, that you can talk to other military people that have gone through your class versus just referring a military to somebody who's not.
Well, Craig, you were in the first class.
Yeah, I remember going through that. Yep, and General Trivets came, saw us all.
Yep,
you know,
Carney, Congressman Carney.
Yeah.
Some people.
What was the hardest part in putting this designation together? What was the hardest thing that you had to face that kept knocking you back?
Well, see, having done the SRES, I had some experience putting together a designation. I think the challenge was I didn't want to become a typical NAR certification. I wanted to become something that people are going to reach out and they're going to do it just because they're going to have the education. I've worked spoken at many NAR conventions. You have people coming to have all these buttons on them and pins all over the place and their hats light up and all this stuff. I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in something. Mine's a little MILRES pin. It's a flag. It says MILRES under it. And the reason is because everybody wears the flag, but when they see the MILRES, all of a sudden you've got a talking point. Somebody says, "What's that?" Now you can open up the thing. So the hardest part was creating something that was beneficial to agents, but not being an island. And we did that by reaching out to people we knew to get the MILRES certification. And we did focus groups with them and whatnot to make sure we were hitting what they hit. But then on top of that, after it was launched, there was something that was really beautiful that occurred. I have military people every day. If I got on my phone right now, there's probably 3 people that are in the military that come through my site that are asking for, do you have an agent in, Florida, in some part of Florida? And I look onto my database and I refer them down to an agent in Florida. That's a benefit, a huge benefit. They'll get a buyer for $200,000-$300,000. They'll pay a typical referral fee, a 25% referral fee, and that helps us keep the MILRES thing going.
Good. Where are you seeing most of the military moving to when they're coming out? And again, I'm throwing this question at you. This is a statistic you might not really know, but are you seeing more of it in the Northeast? Are you seeing more in the South? Where are you seeing where a lot of the veterans are settling? I know I was just on the phone with an agent down in Huntsville, and that's a big military town.
South. A lot of people are going south simply because of the heat. But this is another misnomer, Craig. A lot of people say, well, I don't have a base in my area, so how am I going to do it? Well, the bottom line is that you only have, maybe 1.5 million active duty military in the United States, which is pretty darn big military when you think of it, right? Mm-hmm. That doesn't count all the other folks that are working with them. You have 23.5 million veterans, right? So when you're thinking about active duty, most of the active duty, I would think 74%. I don't know what it is this year. I'll get the numbers. Actually live on base. So you're not going to sell them a house, but you want to get a hold of them because when they separate from the service, they're primed to get their first house or get a second house. but you've got that 23.5 million people. That doesn't count their families, typically 3 people, 4 people in a family. So now you got 80 million. So if you add this whole, put them all in a barrel, right? You've got the largest group of people that you can pull from. And once you sell somebody and you take care of them as an agent for the veteran, they'll tell everybody. They'll tell their sisters or brothers or cousins or neighbors, because you help them find benefits they weren't aware that they were entitled to. Most agents don't have a clue. They're like,
Yeah. 80% of the agents out there, we've all had this conversation, need to do something to become better than what they're doing. This is a perfect example of how to give back at the same time. It's kind of like the USAA thing for all the military, also like the insurance thing. This is perfect that somebody can market it and become the expert of it. Or at least, let's not say maybe you don't do a lot of them, but at least have one step up on it. Of more information.
And to your point on the USAA should have stayed in the insurance business, because they had the best insurances available for any military. But when they got into the real estate end of it, then they became greedy, like most other companies. Okay, well, we want 35, 40%, and you have to give us all these reports. Well, see, I eliminate all that stuff. I don't care about that. If you are you're a MILRES and you have somebody that's in San Mateo, Samia, you go ahead and refer to her. I don't get a dime. The only time I get any money is if I give you the referral.
Yeah, if it comes through you and if it comes your system.
But a lot of agents have done relationships back and forth. Jacksonville, Florida, huge military thing. People are going from there, from North Carolina. So Roger Perkins, whom I think you met, Crazy Roger. Roger is he's a man that has 550 rentals, and he only rents to military people, right? Down there. But he also has something like 40% of the rental market in these 2 little towns outside of Jacksonville. Well, he will not, he'll take their house, so they move, because sometimes they're going to move. It's a depressed area sometimes, and not right now, but so he'll buy their house, and then he'll say, then he'll sell it for them, or he'll make a deal with them. He's amazing. All military. He's a former Navy commander. Good guy.
It's probably, and again, in building your business and in building our own real estate businesses and other businesses, you really want to find out what's your purpose, where you really want to go with it. Right. One of the things that we've done into this year is, sell a home, save a child. We're donating money monthly to that program, which legitimately started with the kids that lived in the dump, that we've all seen that commercial. And this is specific real estate agent. This is real estate agents that are donating money to that. This is a perfect way for if an agent wants to really get involved in helping the military and the vets, maybe because they had a family and things like that, right, to give back, because now you can get involved in the military community more than anything else. I think I was mentioning to you the other day, Mark Stromberg, who's in my group and my team and stuff like that in the area, was in Kabul and all that stuff, and he's retired now, but he's actually got involved in, it could be any company, whether it's right, Coldwell Banker, our company's EXP, or Keller Williams, but he actually started and got on the leadership committee of the new veterans bit within EXP, but do things for them. He started a scholarship. We're going to be giving 4 real estate scholarships away a year to help vets that want to get in real estate. We're going to pay for the classes. We're going to coach you, teach you, keep it under our wing, and then ultimately say, you got to fly on your own. We want to see you succeed. So, that's one of the things with the MILRES. You guys are huge in giving back and helping.
Well, we also, once you take the class, it's a 1-day class, but once you take it, we spend about an hour and 20 minutes talking about how you can set up different ways that you can get involved with the military, because the rule that I've always had in real estate is it's okay to do well as long as you're doing good. So if you want to get in here and you want to make millions of dollars, that's fine, as long as you're helping millions of dollars worth of people, and that's the real role. The role here is that the military has been totally ignored by the real estate industry, and it's more prevalent than ever. And we need to protect our military now more than ever because what they're involved with. So you just have to make a decision. You're going to stand up and you're going to say, how can I help these people?
If you were to now, I wonder how you could. Is there any way that like any other kind of companies could get involved with MILRES other than just real estate? I mean, you've got mortgage companies, title companies.
We got some mortgage companies. We have some attorneys, stuff like that have taken the MILRES course. And Kevin Drillin, I know you know him from down here. He's also had a class for his people because he wants to make sure that he didn't know a lot of the benefits. And he said, "You sure that's the way to?" I'm positive, Kevin. And you look it up and he says, "Sure enough, there's a lot of grants out there that are just sitting there that nobody knows about, so they're not getting them. That they can rehab a house for you, and nobody knows." I don't know if nobody knows or basically nobody cares. There's just a lot of apathy.
I think everybody thinks all the military lives on the base. I mean, we have our wounded warriors and all that stuff that's taken care of. And, this is just another way of giving the service. This isn't, giving the funds. This is just making sure that I think if I'm recalling, there's a whole part in the class that talks about how to deal with the significant other, the life partner, the husband, the wife, whatever it may be in the military, that this person might be stationed overseas or somewhere else. And that you really go through the process that you've sat and broke down what those stresses are. Those individuals are moving from one area to another. They might be getting relocated and they're actually looking to buy this home because it could be their last spot. And the person who's deployed is not even there. And you've broken that system down to help, which is amazing.
The problem is that the kids, all of a sudden you're 15 years old and you're in Bethesda, Maryland, which is a hot spot for kids. And then all of a sudden you get PCS that's moved. You get transferred over to Kansas. Well, you're going to have some angry kids on your hand. So you have to do that. And we put together a program where this one person, she didn't want to leave. She was a soccer player, and they went out to, oh my God, it's in Missouri somewhere, and they didn't have soccer. So she wanted to play soccer real bad. We contacted the agent out there and said, are there soccer clubs? And they said, yes, there are. And then she wanted to go to Penn State. They were looking at her. We called Penn State and talked to one of the assistant soccer coaches. And they said, I understand what's happening. Why don't we have her come out for the summer and work with our team? So what we did was you just try to put together. That's it, going over and above the call of duty to help somebody. And now they're happy.
Yeah.
And that made my heart warm when that happened.
Well, that's the whole point. It's going back to the basics. We've all said, what do? We change lives. We do this to make money, yes, but it's also to help others. And the last one is to have fun. If you're not having fun, I mean, watching people, in the end result, especially the military. I mean, I can't imagine how some of these families go through it. So I know we've helped a bunch of military, and like I said, we're jumping on with the scholarships for them for a year to help and things like that. But if you were to say, what was one of the biggest challenges in writing your book? I know you wrote a book before on it. You wrote the over 55 bit. The problem is getting it out there, isn't it? I mean, it's like.
Well, we did it. There are two ways of getting it out. You can self-publish, and then you make a lot more money on a book, but then you have to really bust your hump to get it out there. Or you can go with a publisher. We went with a publisher, and the book was $24.95, and we made $3 a book. But they sent us out on a tour. But now when you look at this, Craig, if I had to break it down, I've made $1 million because of the book, because of the speaking engagements, because of all the other stuff that I've done through the book. So who cares? We sold 38,000 in the first volume, and another 16,000 in the second volume. So we had a lot of books out there through realtors. So it was, but the book, that particular book is not relevant anymore because they changed so many rules in the over 55 market. Mm-hmm. Now, the military thing, I've got the outline and I got all that done, but I've not gone forward finishing the book because this course got us going crazy. We've got companies all over, Long and Foster, that company. Well, we were the primary providers of MILRES for that. They didn't use MRP. Remax, we're on their university. That's an online compilation of the course. So we've got some of the biggest companies around, leading RE. We've got them. So they already know what we have, what we can offer, and they're getting benefits because their agents are getting referrals, and they are actually capturing the military markets. It's a good thing.
You know what? You can't say enough about it. Can't say enough, because it is changing generations of owning instead of just renting and things of that nature.
Yeah.
One of the questions that I always ask towards the end of everything when we get together, first of all, thank you for sharing that idea and information. What we'll do is we'll put in the chat at some point the information for MILRES, that if any agents or anybody's interested, people can see it and get to you. But we all go through these growing parts. We all go through these ahas. We all go through I call it the humbling experiences that you're like, oh God, I wish I didn't, wish somebody didn't know that. I wish that didn't come out. But then you learn from it, and it made you grow. That seems to be a key point. Give me a quick synopsis of something that took place that changed your life, that gave you the aha, that humbled you, but then also brought you up.
Oh my God, there have been so many times. I've been up and down so many times. I always thought it was a pogo stick. So I think one of the probably the most humbling experience I've had was when I opened my second restaurant, and I took partners on. And one of my partners decided that they didn't want to, they wanted to cook the books, keep a separate set of books. And so that experience was, what do I do? I didn't want to, the IRS, obviously the Alcohol Commission, they can come in and just shut you down. So I went and I talked to my father, and I said, Dad, this is what they want to do. What do you think? And he said, go back in, take the liquor license off the wall, and walk out. Don't say anything to anybody. It's your liquor license. And we did. And it basically it forced their hands to do whatever we wanted to do. It was a humbling experience because I put blood, sweat, and tears into creating this Casablanca restaurant after the movie. And so I left. Sure enough, they did a BYOB. They tried to stay open, but they cheated, and the IRS closed them down. So the aha moment was not acquiescing to something that was illegal. And it hurt at first, but at the end, it was like the right thing to do.
Don't ever want to mess with the IRS, especially. I think we all have a story of when we first got into business, we forgot how much taxes we have to pay, and then it's why you're supposed to set it aside. I don't care what kind of business you're in, make yourself an employee. We've all had that conversation, and humbling. But
there is one thing I'd like to bring up, though, Craig, which all your listeners, because this is something that's just hit me in the face. I was talking to Alan about it. And he wants me to talk to him. I talked to this young lady. She's a VA. She just got out, and she lives in Atlanta. And she was beat out on 25 offers in Atlanta. So she had to buy a house 40 miles outside of the city. She finally got one. Now she has a commute of 40 miles each way. Now, she didn't get beat out because we all know that the market's crazy, right? And you're going to have to be smart about it. She got beat out because of the hedge funds. Blackstone has already invested $9 billion in buying houses in metropolitan areas. Philadelphia is one of them, as a matter of fact. Goldman Sachs has, so far, they're $3 billion into it. They buy the houses and they turn them into rentals because the rental market keeps going up. You have a steady flow, but you're shutting out VA, FHA, any of the low, bond issues and everything. They're done now. So they have to move in there, and there's no certainty. There's no home ownership. There's no tax deduction, and there's no guarantee that the rents are going to raise. So everybody listening to this podcast has to get a hold of their representative and say, you need to put an end to this. This is the second time that the financial industry is way ahead of the regulatory industry, and it's tearing it up, just like they did with subprime mortgages. My son's in the financial industry, and I brought it up to him, and he said, well, yeah, but it's coming in your reach, so you're making money. That's not the point. The point is it's really shutting out first-time homeowners and veterans, and it's got to stop. There it is.
There's a key point. Well, Bud, I really appreciate you being here. I loved you sharing the idea on the MILRES.
Mhm.
And there's been a lot of hard work, 14 years in it. I've been through the classes. I've sat with you with the professors who teach it around the country now, because I know you've got a bunch of them. I think G. Dunston's one of them and a couple others. But really, just wanted to say thanks for coming on. Thanks for showing your humility of the IRS, and let's not go there again. And let's get changing some lives in the military. All right, brother?
Thanks for having me, brother.
Hey, it's my pleasure. Go get them. Thanks
All
for
right.
coming, everybody. Craig Lerch, delivering empowering experiences and changing lives. Thanks, bud.
See you.
Empowering experiences, disrupting real estate